Right, so in this next section, I'm going to show you how to make it that when the enemy exits the screen, the spaceship explodes, or is removed from the game essentially. So in the last tutorial, we added this little bit of code here that says "kill self" after leaving screen. That will make it that when it exits the level, it dies, but from there nothing happens. It'd be like playing a Sonic game, and then when you fall off the level after you've been killed, it just stays on the screen and nothing changes. So we need to go to our level and actually initiate the level to start again. So if we go to events, you can actually put, rather than just in the actors, you can actually put events in the level. Things like having text scores displayed in the corners of the screen or in the middle of the level. This is quite a useful place to have this. So if I add myself a new event, it's going to be under the category of actors. Now what this is going to be doing is this is going to be listening out for when this spaceship dies. So what I'm going to check for is if spaceship, rather than specific actor, just to make it easier and to cover any kind of other scenario where I don't know, I tend to choose actor of type usually if I'm dealing with one object, just in case. I choose actor of type. So when actor of type is created, it isn't particularly useful for what we're wanting. What we want is when it's killed. Now, as I said in the other piece of code, when the spaceship goes off screen and it's killed, we can use that piece of code for this section to listen to. And from this event happening, we're going to restart the level. The word restart isn't the word that's used in Stencil for reloading the level, which is the word reload. So the place that you can find it is under Scene, Game Flow, and you're going to switch the scene, or you've got a variety of transitions here. Now, if we were going to switch to another level, or switch back to the menu, for example, if it was fully game over and you had lives, for example, you would switch the scene back to the main menu. But what we're wanting to do is just reload the scene. So with this, you got two options really. You've got either a direct crossfade, so kind of fading between the current screen and the previous one. You can also do things like a kind of Mega Man-esque slide between the levels, and then the other option is fading with a colour, so which I'm going to use, but I'm just going to use fade to black, upon death. I usually try to keep the numbers reasonably small, because in the past I've had people, kind of set the fade in and out time to like 30 seconds. It gets very boring very, very quickly, so I usually set it to around to a second. And then other than that, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to apply an effect to the screen. So I'm going to shake the screen. I can find this under Effects, and I'm going to shake the screen for about half a second with a very, very low intensity, maybe of 2.5. The reason it's such a low intensity is the fact that the way it calculates it is it takes the width of the screen and the height of the screen and it shakes it by the percentage of that. So if you set it to 50%, it's going to shake. It's going to move the screen by 50% to shake it, and it just gets ridiculous. So I usually find, or distracting or disorienting or anything of the above. So I find that using very subtle numbers like maybe 0 to 0 to 1, that range is usually good. Another option is to use something like a float for your percentages. That might actually cause some problems, but we'll find out. Yeah, I fancy trying something new. So using a float rather than a random number can actually give you, I assume, the effect of a mixed kind of appearance of destruction. If not, you know, you just use something standard like 0.1 or 0.7 or 0.5. So when our ship moves off screen now, it should shake the screen and then reload the level. So let's give that a quick go. I think. So do you see there's like a very subtle shake there. Now what you could do is it seems like these are happening in the wrong order almost. So it might be worth putting like a little kind of wedge of time, maybe 0.4 seconds or just a very short period of time in between the ship being destroyed and the ship actually and the level reloading. I've just made it 0.4 seconds, so it'll begin to transition the level by the time that it stops shaking. Because I tend to find the quicker that you get someone back into back into gameplay, the longer they'll stay actually playing a game. Usually the ones that drag it out a very long time are the games that tend to disengage people. So let's give this a go. So there should be about a half-second delay after when I go off screen that it'll delay the transition. So you can see the shake. Boom. You know, I think actually this is a nice little piece of code, but what I might do is just give it a little bit of a boost. So I think I might multiply this by, just to give it a bit of an extra kick. Might multiply it by 3 and add 0.1. So that number can never be 0. So it'll always have some value to it. Because there's still the risk that if you have 3 multiplied by 0, you end up with still 0. So by adding that 0.1 on the end, it kind of makes sure that there's something at least to multiply it by. So now we should have a little bit more of an aggressive destruction for the ship. So let's give this a go. There you go. That's a bit more exciting. And once again, it's still a very, very short period of time, so it's not too obnoxious. Yeah. So other than that, I think that should be good for this now. What we will do in a later tutorial, essentially, when we're looking at things like timers and displaying text on screen, which we'll probably do in a tutorial or so once we've got the enemies moving, is this will be the area that we will essentially what's the word? This is where we would tell the code to reset itself. So once you've reached a certain score and then died, you would then tell the code to essentially record the high score and then set the current score back to 0 for the restart of the level. But for now, let's stop this here, and we'll move on to getting our enemies moving now.